Yes, you read the title right. It's possible to be too nice. And you might actually be familiar with it if you are that person. You know, you taking on extra work, you always trying to solve other people's problems, you overextending yourself, taking the blame, or always making the first step when there is a disagreement, even when you're proven right, forgiving without hesitation, taking care of people's needs before your own, even if you are not receiving the same treatment. If you think that all of these traits are honorable and admirable, and that's why you're basing all of your worth on them, you've been fooled. Just like me and many other people. So keep on listening if you're struggling with being too nice. Welcome to Conscious Matters. I'm Melissa. On this channel, I talk about conscious living through empowerment and holistic wellness, especially mindfulness. It has been ingrained in our skulls since we were kids to be nice. And if we weren't nice, we were being punished or being told off. But there's actually a huge difference between being kind and being nice. And what does it actually mean to be kind? Like, are we trying to be nice or are we trying to be kind? So the way that I see it, being kind is being clear on expressing our needs, putting up strong boundaries and enforcing them, while at the same time being open to people, being helpful to people, being a listening ear to people, and being there and present for them, but not at the expense of your own needs or even your own well-being. When being nice, the way that I see it now, is more like from another person's perspective. It's not about, even though you say I'm nice, it's more like the fact that I did this action makes me a nice person. When being kind is really a personality trait, is really who you are, and no matter what you do and what you didn't do, it doesn't take away your kindness. So being nice now, I see it as, okay, I should say not nice, but maybe too nice, because being nice is also a way to socialize, to belong in a way, in a society, in a community, in an environment like at work or things like that, to create some bonds or relationships, to not be isolated. It's just like being polite. You don't have to be polite, but it will be better for the interpersonal relationships that you have in your life. And it's same with being nice. But even being polite, you have like a certain limit to where there's a difference between being polite and being a doormat. And it's the same with being nice. There's a difference between being nice and being too nice, and being a people pleaser and actually suppressing your own needs for the praise of others, of how nice, so nice you are. And to the point where that you're so nice and so helpful that is not helping you, and that you depleting your energy, that you are treated badly, or at least not at your worth and your value, and that you end up betraying your own self. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about being too nice. The very famous Dr. 𝗀𝗵𝗹𝗳 says, I want to quote him because I think it's so interesting, that we often think of being nice as, it's part of my personality, I'm just nice. I've always been too nice. It's just who I am. I'm like that. Even though subconsciously, most of the time, it's like it gives, like it kind of feeds your ego, to be honest. And he says that if you didn't get the love that you needed in some instance in your life, usually in childhood, doesn't mean that your parents didn't take care of you. You'll be consumed by being liked. And then you will be very likable and very nice. And you might become a very helpful individual as a copying pattern. And the fact that he says copying pattern, we don't even realize that usually our behavior, our mindset, and the way we function in life is related to so many things that we are not aware of. And sometimes we might think that we're fine, we're good, I had everything, like I was not abandoned as a child, so I had love, and I just want to be nice, and too nice actually. But when you actually dig a little bit deeper, you realize that everything comes from somewhere, and developing more self-awareness so you understand your behavior, and most importantly, your coping mechanism. And what are you copying from? What are you trying to compensate for? And I think the saddest thing about this coping mechanism is that internally and subconsciously we're trying to compensate for something, usually a trauma, something that hurt us in the past, by having this behavior now that at the end of the day is to be validated by others. But I will get into that a little bit later on. And this coping mechanism, which was supposed to make us feel better about ourselves, is actually steering us away from our own needs, our own care for ourselves. And we're not in touch with them anymore. We prefer putting the needs of others before our own. And that is not fair to us. So I was talking about the difference between being kind and being nice at the beginning, but there's also a huge difference talking about the validation of others between being genuinely nice, like genuinely a kind person, and people pleasing. It's two different things. It's completely different because one is selfless. You're not looking for anything. It's just who you are. You're just being kind. But on the other hand, when you're trying to be too nice, you're doing that because you want to please others. You want to feel accepted by others. You want to feel praised by others. You want to belong in a certain way in a group, or even though it's your family, your friends, your colleagues, anything, you just want to be appreciated and loved. And so you're doing way too much. And it's not serving you, it's serving other people so well. And they might really like you in the moment. But then you have to think, like, do they like you for you, or do they like you for what you're doing for them? Do they like you because you're useful, or do they like you because they love your personality and who you are at the core? You have to ask yourself, the moment that I stop doing that, will they actually still accept me? Will they still be good to me? Or is it just like when being too nice and being a people pleaser is actually not an exchange? It's just one way. It's just you giving and giving and giving and over giving and not receiving anything, or sometimes just crumbs from other people. And once again, that is not fair to you, because you end up sacrificing yourself for others. You end up overextending yourself for others, and you're obviously being taken advantage of, even though you don't realize that at first. At first, it might not even start like that. People will see, oh, she's super helpful, or he's super helpful. And they might even think it was like a one-time thing, but you saw the appreciation and you kept on giving and giving and giving more and being not only generous, but like overly generous. Then people take that for granted and they expect that from you every single time. First of all, this is not sustainable for your own mental health and your own, sometimes even physical health. And second of all, why are you doing that? What is the intention behind it? What are you trying to prove? Not only to others, but to yourself. And the third thing is that something that I used to do is by being overly nice and you're not seeing other people appreciate you for that, you become resentful. And I remember I used to do some volunteering work for this NGO who just started. So I was like, doing so many things for them. I did like, oh my God, I did so many things, it's ridiculous. But since I started like that, I was like very driven by the impact that we could make and all of the beautiful things that we could do to serve the undeserved communities and the people that we were targeting. But at the same time, I wanted my work and everything that I was doing to be at least appreciated, at least like, oh, you did a good job and thank you for that, or things like that. But the other people, the president of the NGO and his staff, they were just like, yeah, it's normal, and please do that thing, the other thing, and the other thing, and the other thing. And since I was capable of doing that, and I was like so driven by the impact once again, I did it without even questioning, because I showed so much willingness and so much over generosity and being so available for them. Like I had no hours, no boundaries. Of course, I was not only taken for granted, but when there was an issue and I communicated the information so the issue would not happen and they didn't do their own part, they blamed it on me like big time. And I remember we had this huge argument because that was not my task at all. But it was something that I created, but they had to manage it. But they didn't manage it at all, and it was like a big mess. Anyways, it ended up being like this huge argument, them speaking to me very disrespectfully, and that was like my non-return point. Like, at least I did have, even though I didn't put my boundaries in place, I still did have some self-worth, and I was not playing with that. So that pushed me to part ways with them. But even like during the whole process, even before that huge thing, I would feel resentment, I would feel like a little bit of anger, but to me, since I was being nice, I was not allowed to feel negative emotions. When I think about it now, it doesn't make any sense to me, because anger, resentment, frustration, sadness are very legitimate emotions to feel. You have to feel them healthily. You cannot just feel gratitude, optimism, positivity, and all of the warm feelings. The duality has to make us feel the good feelings, but also the bad feelings. And when you don't express your anger, your frustration, and your resentment for a long time, it's so detrimental to your own health. I've been subjected to that, and this is not good for you. And at the end of the day, when you think about it, you're like, I'm doing all of this niceness for others to be appreciated, to people please, when you really don't have to. But that will be another conversation. And then you end up being actually frustrated and resentful and mad and being taken advantage of. So this is not fair. This is not fair. And please never ever betray yourself like that. You don't deserve that. You deserve so much more, especially when you're like genuinely kind. You're genuinely nice, like nice, but not too nice. And you have so much to offer. Please see your worth and don't accept crumbs, don't accept less than you deserve. Because at the end of the day, you're doing them a favor and not the contrary. When they're not giving back, you are the one giving them a favor. And the gaslighting was crazy. They made me like the mean person, very arrogant and individualistic, and that I was looking down on them. That's why I would withdraw and not work with them anymore, when it was just like projections. So as I often say, know yourself, because some people can be very entitled, very abusive and cruel when they don't get what they want from you anymore. No matter how nice you are, no matter how pure your intentions are toward them, it doesn't mean that they have the same pure intentions towards you. And that's okay. You just have to accept it. Some people either don't want to work, but they want to take the praise of the work. Other people just want to stay in low vibes. That I don't know why. It's just like they just want to stay like that. And other people need to feed off the energy and the work and the time and the worth and the value of others to feel somewhat okay about themselves. Or they're just not interested in being or knowing how to do better, let alone changing their toxic or simply nasty behavior. Don't let other people make you feel less than. When you know who you are, you know your intentions, you know your worth, you know your heart, don't let anyone make you feel or make you believe any other way, because you know your truth. Learn how to feel worthy by your own terms, not society terms, not your workplace terms, not your family terms, your own terms. Feel worthy by your own guidelines. You are worth all you desire. And just to quote Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That's it. Don't give them the opportunity to make you feel inferior. And even though you gave them the opportunity, don't let it get inside you. And if it got inside you, let it go out of you as soon as possible. At the end of the day, you deserve your own validation. Being nice doesn't mean to be weak. Being nice doesn't mean that you're a doormat. Being nice doesn't mean that you're accepting the unacceptable. So to not being taken advantage of, be kind but with strong boundaries, and reconnect with your authentic self. Always, always, always be loyal to your authentic self like ever before. One thing that I've learned with my own life experiences, my own challenges, my own obstacles, my own failures, my own evolution, my own growth, and probably with age too, is to never trade my authenticity for attachment, for belonging. Because if I truly belong somewhere, it means that I'm accepted for the wholesomeness of who I am. Is people liking me or enjoying my presence for everything that I am, and not because I'm able to do that for them or bring that in their life, so on and so forth. I'm not saying that you should only like people who don't bring anything into your life, but not having just this one element, like, oh, she's useful, so I'm gonna keep her, you know? But I don't like the rest of her, but like just because she can bring that into my life, I'm gonna keep her. So being authentic, being true to yourself, because at the end of the day, you only got you. People will come and go in your life. Some people will stay much longer, for years and years, and that's amazing and enjoyable when you can grow with the same people for so many years. But even those people can eventually leave your life at some point, like when you go through another chapter, or they go through another chapter themselves. But that's okay, that's life. And other people will just come for a season, and sometimes not even a full season. So it's important to not trying to be corny, but like you have to be your best friend. You have to be loyal to yourself. You have to realize that the best relationship that you can have in this world is the one with yourself, because you literally cannot detach yourself from yourself. Like from beginning to the end of your life, it's just you and you. You and you is the one relationship that is for a lifetime. So you cannot trade your authenticity for anyone. You have to be true to yourself. Even though that means that it will take time for you to find your people, and it can be very lonely, but you cannot betray yourself. You cannot betray yourself for just being light and pleasing other people who will drop you the moment that you're not useful to them anymore. Because if you do that, if you trade your authenticity for belonging or attachment with others who like you just because you're being too nice, I mean, you will look great in their eyes. You will, like, they will love you for that, for the one thing that you bring onto the table, or the several things. But you will feel used, you will feel shame too, because you know that you're not being fully yourself, or you don't have room to be your full self. You will feel like you have to shrink yourself in a way to be accepted. And you have one life, so you cannot trade your own needs for the ones of others. You have to speak up. You have to speak up when something is not right. You have to speak up when you're not treated fairly. You have to speak up when something doesn't float your boat. You have to stand up for yourself. It's not about being nice or being mean. It's about knowing your worth and never settling for anything less than that. No matter what other people think or what other people say, you set the bar. You set the bar how you want other people to treat you. And for that, you need to know how to treat yourself. If something is not fair to your eyes, say it. If you don't want to do something for whatever reason, say it. No is a full sentence. Once again, be polite, like still be respectful, but you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. I mean, every rule has its exceptions, like pay your bills, be responsible, be respectful, you know what I mean. But no is a full sentence. Now I have zero problem saying no. If something doesn't feel aligned with me, or it's not something that I have to do and I don't want to do it, I won't do it. I would say no. Like, no, thank you, no, I'm not interested, or I hear you, I disagree, but I won't do it, or I don't want to do it. I have other plans, and yeah, no. And sticking to it, even when people are trying to guilt trip me about it, it doesn't work anymore. Because like, I'm sure of my truth. I'm sure of where I want to invest my time and my energy into. If I feel like it's going to deplete my energy or waste my time, I'm not interested. I'm sorry, like I'm not. Once again, I think I said that multiple times. Time is the only thing that cannot be replaced in your life. So don't waste it. Don't waste it on people who cannot treat you right, or at least fairly. Don't waste it on things that are wasting your time. Time is an investment. Make sure that what you invested your time in will come back to you multiplied. I think generally as kids, like, we are not encouraged to say no. Like, we're more like supposed to follow and say yes and obey and things like that. So it's not natural, to be honest. I think it's a skill to learn how to say no. Is it awkward? Yes. Especially at the beginning, it's very awkward. It's uncomfortable, but my time is valuable. It's not more valuable than the time of another person, but if you know your own values, you know how to spend your time accordingly. To me, I see it as my non-refundable thing in my life, so I'm using it preciously. It's that thing that I will not get it back. To repeat myself, it's the one thing that I will not get it back. So if I can reduce the stuff that I don't want to do during my time, like, I'll just do that. Even though people might say, oh, she's not that nice anymore. Oh, she used to be so much nicer. Like, is it serving me to be that nice to you when it's actually wasting my time? No. So once again, it goes back to the worth, like your self-worth. I'm still gonna be kind because this is who I am. I'm not gonna change my heart because of other people or because of past experiences where people couldn't appreciate my heart. But I'm still gonna be picky and choosy about where I invest my time and what I do and how I express my kindness. And if I want to give it willingly, I'll do some volunteering or charity or things like that. So you don't owe my time, and I don't owe you anything. It can sound harsh, it can sound mean even, but there's nothing wrong with having boundaries. And it's okay to be nice, or I'd rather say it's great to be kind, but you cannot always comply with others when it goes against you, it goes against your time, it goes against your worth, or even your values. When it goes against these 4 elements is the time where it's okay to not be nice. It's okay. Doesn't mean you're not kind. It doesn't mean that you're mean. It just means that you have boundaries. It means that you have to be respected too by others. You deserve that. And just like Brené Brown says, my worth is not up for negotiation. She even says, I won't negotiate my worth with you. And that's it. Don't negotiate your worth. Don't negotiate your self-respect with other people. It should be a given, but you have to show that to yourself. You have to show self-worth. You have to show self-love. You have to show self-care. You have to show self-respect to yourself, the way that you treat yourself, the way that you show up in life, so people can match that. But if you show that it's okay to always be the one that has to sacrifice themselves, their needs, their time for others, people will be like, okay, and they will they will just advocate for their own selves. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to respect yourself. You have to be authentic with yourself. And if you love being nice and so nice, why not being nice to yourself? Honestly, like, why? Why being nice to others but not to yourself too? And I read this quote that is wonderful and I think a great summary of everything that I've been talking about. Authenticity versus attachment debate. Actually, it's not a quote, it's a tweet. And the tweet says, the more you heal, the less you see attention as affection, attachment as connection, codependency as support, disagreement as an attack, enmeshment as intimacy, lack of boundaries as empathy, external validation as internal self-love, and trauma bonding as healing. Isn't it so beautiful? It's time to break the cycle, to keep on healing, so we let go of all narrative of if I'm being too nice, then I'm gonna be loved and liked and accepted. You're gonna be loved, liked, and accepted for who you are, not for what you do. And if people like you and appreciate you and accept you just because of what you do, it's not the right people. And that's okay. You can just let them go. The right people will come to you. And you will come to the right people too who are showing up in their lives authentically. So it's time to heal and grow from it and to keep on being kind and attract what's actually good for you by the way you treat yourself and how nice you are to your own self. So I would say the holy recipe to stop being too nice is self-respect, boundaries, self-worth, of course, but I think that goes with self-respect and boundaries, self-love, expectations. And what I mean by expectations, don't expect people to have the same intentions as you, to have the same heart as you, to move through life like you do. Because sometimes, and I think I said it before, you can have the purest intentions, but it doesn't mean that the person that you are giving those pure intentions have the same intentions towards you. So self-awareness, discernment, and it's also very important in the way that you expect people to act. Do you be kind, put your boundaries in place, be authentic? I believe that as long as you stay true to your heart, who you are, like even though you're the kindest person, but once you put boundaries and you're following your own moral compass, things come along pretty naturally. And also, it will be easy for you to remove your energy from spaces and people who don't know how to appreciate it, how to respect it, and how to match it. And you will actually be able to attract the people that can. And just because I love quotes so much, I will add another one. Stop responding to people who want your energy in exchange of nothing. Protect your energy, it's sacred. Especially when you're a person like that, you're so nice that it's so hard for you to not be nice. Like a person like that, it's a gem. So protect your energy. It's sacred when you have a genuine good heart. Apparently, it's not common currency around this world lately. So surround yourself with people who lift you up, especially when you have the opportunity and the option to choose to. Even though I know it's hard, when you're kind and you have empathy, you feel like these people are suffering, so you see the suffering in them and you're like, I can still be nice to them because I see how much they suffer. But at the end of the day, it's their own responsibility to heal themselves and to stop that suffering. It's not your own. It's not your responsibility to put this burden on your back, carry it for them, and still being treated like trash because they don't want to do their own healing. Is that fair to you? If another person, like let's say your best friend, one of your parents, or your sibling, or like someone that you care about would do that, would you say that it's fair for them to do that and for them to be treated that way? It's the same for you. So quality over quantity. There's a lot of quality people in this world. So if you haven't connected with them yet, keep on showing up for yourself. Keep on being authentic to yourself. They will come along, but stop being too nice because it's not serving you. It's not serving your highest good, so gotta stop that. So share in the comments if you agree, first of all, or if you disagree. I would love to hear that. And also if you're ready to stop being too nice and what was your favorite part of the video. As always, stay true, keep showing up for yourself, and let your soul lead the way.